Shop.
As a 3-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzones, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their 2 Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
A great time! Your entertainment destination, the South Point, invites you to experience the ultimate great time under one roof. Bowling, dancing, a live show, a movie, delicious dining, and one of South Point's 11 restaurants. So much to see, so much to do. You won't know where to start first. This week, make it a South Point week and discover for yourself why the South Point is your entertainment destination for a great time.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. I hope you don't have a case of the Mondays. Little Office Space reference there. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's PTL time. So glad you are with us. So glad you are with us. I can't talk today. So glad you're with us. We got a lot to get to today, a lot to go over. You know, I just started this YouTube page a few months ago. Just surpassed 300,000 views on YouTube, so I'm very happy about that. And happy where the show's going, and so glad you make us a part of your midday sort of afternoon. I was at the drugstore this morning, and I had to pick up some medication. And when I was doing so, the guy at the counter said, "Hey, you're Brian. I used to listen to you on the radio all the time. What happened to your show?" And I said, "Well, I started a new show, and it is here, KSHP 1400. So I know he's listening. And happy to have you all with us. We got a lot to get to today. Elections are tomorrow. Thank God. I can't wait till it's over with. I voted for several Republicans, and one of the Republicans that I did vote for is Patsy Brown, and she's going to be joining us in studio hour number 2. You're not going to believe the rhetoric, or maybe you will, across the country when it comes to the elections. We'll get to that and play it for you in hour number 2. We have the audio to prove it for you. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, my hoops guru is Jamison Welsh. Just great when it comes to coverage of the NBA. The Kyrie Irving saga continues. Will he ever play another game in a Brooklyn Nets uniform? Jamison Welsh will answer that question for us coming up in hour number 1 at the bottom of the hour. We got Chris Wynn in studio. It is a Monday. He filled in for me a few weeks ago, and now you see him freshly clean cut, unlike me, Chris Wynn. Why you give me that weird look? I don't understand.
I'm always freshly clean cut. What are you talking about, Brian?
That's debatable.
Good to be here, my
that's
friend.
Debatable.
It is Monday.
4 o'clock in the morning when
Monday.
you're at Arizona Charlie's playing Caveman Keno. You're not always looking freshly clean cut.
That happens. That does happen.
It does.
Yes, it does.
Anyway, Chris, thank you for being here. We're going to get to, obviously, UNLV basketball. First hour, we're going to get into the sports and then the Kyrie Irving stuff. Hour number 2 is when we're really going to dissect the political spectrum locally and nationally.
24 hours away
Right.
from the midterm elections.
Exactly.
No question. Democracy
Yeah.
is on the ballot, Brian.
It is. So
and we'll see what happens.
It is. So we're going to, dissect that and go over that hour number 2. We'll talk a little UNLV football. They lost to San Diego State on the road. UNLV basketball kicks off their season today. Kevin Kruger, good guy. Easy to root for. I was talking to my friend Todd Simon today. They open up the season on the road against New Mexico, so a big game for them if they can get that W. And then rumors circulating that San Diego State, I guess it's not a rumor anymore, San Diego State's going to be in the Pac-12. How does that affect UNLV? We'll get to all that stuff.
Well, technically still it is a rumor. It
Yes.
is. The Atlantic reported today
Yeah.
that it is not signed, sealed, and delivered yet. So
we'll get to all that stuff. We'll
Right.
dissect all that. But I have to start with another embarrassing loss by the Las Vegas Raiders. So, Chris, as you know, I was out there in New Orleans last week when they got blanked by a bad New Orleans team. New Orleans is not a good team. They made Andy Dalton look like a Super Bowl quarterback, and they got blanked. They lost 24-0. And I said, if this team has any heart, they're going to beat a bad team on the road in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars are not a very good football team. I'm not breaking any news by sharing that with you. I seem to be saying this every week about Derek Carr. He was awful. Once again, overthrowing, underthrowing, not putting the football where it needs to be. It wasn't just him. The only guy on defense that seemed to have an average game was Max Crosby. The defense is soft. The play calling was atrocious. What do I mean? I could even go to the last series of the game. You got a 3rd and 2, you throw the ball. 4th and 2, you throw the ball. At the end of the first half, you're not even really making an effort to score a touchdown. You could have put the clamps on them, and it didn't even look like they were just kick a field goal. Derek Carr, underthrows the ball by it looked like 10 yards, and they kick a field goal. The defense was soft. I don't understand the coverage. You're up 17-0, and you got soft coverage on defense. You never got to their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. You never got to him once, not even a scratch of a sack. The defense is soft. Derek Carr's terrible. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. I'm done with Derek Carr. And I've been saying that for years, that he's not a good quarterback. Now I'm going to take it to another level. He is an average to below average quarterback. And we're going to play some audio from him, Chris. But this is an embarrassment.
Well, look, I'll bring a little bit of a different perspective here. It was a tale of two halves, Brian. Make no mistake about it. Derek Carr was impressive as all get out in the first half. I would disagree with your take regarding that. He was just off. What do you mean? The guy, the numbers represent that, Brian. 2 touchdown passes to Devontae Adams in the first half, over 200 yards passing. He had one of the best They had one of the best offensive performances by that side of the football of the season. Then the second half, everything fell apart. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm bringing a different perspective, Brian, than you're giving regarding this. The second half, the wheels came off, okay? They were absolutely ineffective from an offensive standpoint. They were even able in the first half to get Josh Jacobs going a little bit, as well as getting Hunter Renfrow into the mix. And Hunter's been pretty much MIA the entire season. Second half, that all changed. Derek Carr ends up throwing for, I believe, 30 yards through the air, was extremely paltry, was hesitant, and made mistakes that ended up costing them the football game. They were able to run the football. It was like they forgot how to play offense as far as the Las Vegas Raiders were concerned, and that's why they lost the football game. They were up 17-0, as you pointed out. They had a 17-0 lead, and then coughed that up and lost to a team. Yes, that is not. Look, they're not the New Orleans Saints, and that was by far the most embarrassing loss of the season down in the Big Easy that you witnessed the week before. But it didn't get any better with going on the road and going to Jacksonville. You take the whole week where you spend it in Florida, where you get prepared with the humidity down there. You actually train down there for the whole week to get yourself in the best position to win in Jacksonville, and they absolutely were unable to do it because they coughed it up in the second half. So that's my assessment. I thought that it was absolutely what a combination of terrible coaching in the second half and ineffectiveness on the offensive side of the football that cost the Raiders in this game against the Jaguars.
Okay, so part of being an NFL football coach is being able to make adjustments and knowing that the other team is going to make adjustments. That's number one. Number two, if you look at, first of all, one of the passes to Devontae Adams, defender completely fell down. a 3-year-old could have completed that pass, and that was like 50 yards right there. He threw a couple good passes in the first half, but even if you look at the main reason why they had so much success is because you got somebody by the name of Devontae Adams, who's the best receiver in football. If you look at some of the spectacular catches, notice how I'm not saying spectacular throws. I know what a spectacular throw looks like. Devontae Adams made some spectacular plays in the first half, and then they went away from him a little bit. Some of those throws by Derek Carr were a couple yards behind him, overthrowing him, and Devontae was able to grab him. But anyway, let's go to Josh McDaniels. So Josh McDaniels after the game, I have serious problems with Josh McDaniels on a lot of different levels, not personal, and Derek Carr. So I'm going to play you audio from both. I have a problem with some of the things they said in their press conferences. Let me start with Josh McDaniels. Now keep in mind, Chris, as you alluded to and I alluded to, this loss is coming off of a beyond embarrassing loss, right, to the New Orleans Saints. Yes. You talk about response and players responding. Have a listen to what Josh McDaniels, after the game, what he had to say.
As well as you played the first half and trying to win the game. So sometimes lessons are learned the hard way, and obviously we've had to swallow some difficult ones this year. And but I have a lot of confidence and faith in the way that these guys will respond. They always do. Come down and try to have another good week of work this week back in Vegas and go back at it.
Okay, so listen, I understand that you're the head coach, you want to trash your team, but when you make the statement, I have a ton of confidence that these guys will come back and respond, quote, they always do. Hey, coach, you just got embarrassed last week by the New Orleans Saints, 24-0. Doesn't get any worse than that. Did your players respond? No, they didn't. Yeah, they got off to a good start. You lost the football game up 17-0 against a bad Jacksonville Jaguars team. So why is Josh McDaniels saying, I have confidence they'll respond? They always do. He's lying.
Well, you can't just keep going out every single week and saying that this is a get-right game or that we're going to circle the wagon.
Is he lying?
Or that we're going to be better.
He's lying, right?
I mean, it's coach speak in press conferences. We understand that there's certain ways coaches will, try to minimize is not the right word, but they'll try to get around certain questions that are being asked, especially when you're in a situation like this where you coughed up a 17-0 lead on the road against a not very good football team in Jacksonville. So there's no question that you're someone who says things definitively. You say, look, it's a lie. When you're describing.
Well, he's lying. They're not responding. He's lost the locker room. They're not responding.
That is going to be the assessment of a lot of people.
And by the way,
has lost the locker room.
Chris,
now look, I happen to agree with you on this. I happen to think that he should have never been hired in the first place.
No,
I thought it was a terrible hire.
Can I talk about last year's? Since we're on that topic, Bisaccia, okay,
right?
Him and Ole, who I texted the other day, our former offensive coordinator. The proof is in the pudding. I said it last year when they got rid of this coaching staff. I said it last year. They earned another year. Forget about Josh McDaniels for a moment. Forget about the disaster. They earned another year because they got to the playoffs
I would disagree
last
there,
year.
Brian. Look,
they got to the playoffs.
Brian, time out. There can be other options here. It doesn't have. What I'm saying is that I don't think they should have hired Josh McDaniels. They should have gone a different direction. I'm not sitting here advocating saying Rich Bisaccia and Greg should have been retained from that coaching staff. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy stuff that went on with the Raiders last year, okay? Right. And you're not going to put that all, you're absolutely not going to put it on Rich Bisaccia or the coaching staff by any stretch of the imagination. But I also didn't think it was, look, it can be, two things can be true, Brian, okay? They could have not retained Bisaccia and the rest of the coaching staff, and they could have gone a different direction and not hired Josh McDaniels. That is my assessment.
Let me just say this. The players on this Raiders team last year would have gone through a wall for Bisaccia. He was loved within the locker room. They love this guy. Now people are starting to do the I guess you could call it the blame game. Here's what Derek Carr had to say after the game, and I want you to listen to his words very carefully. Because Derek Carr is a guy that always puts ownership on himself, but it seemed like he alluded to others. And by the way, I'm not saying that this is only on Derek Carr, and I'm not saying it's only on Josh McDaniels and the coaching staff. There's plenty of blame to go around. I get that. But I have never heard Derek Carr allude to what he alluded to after the game yesterday. Listen to this.
I think there's a lot I want to say, but if I'm honest, I don't need to say it here, and there's things that will be said. There are things that need to be addressed and all those things. But I think as a whole, the urgency part of it, that after 30 minutes of football, we have to learn that the game is not over. I feel like I've been in this situation a lot where new coaches or this or that, and you have to teach the new guys, like, this is how we do it, and this is the mentality, and this is, and that gets tiring. But at the same time, it's my job. So there's some of that. So I'll say that right now for those things. But there's things in-house that we'll talk about, and man-to-man and all that kind of stuff that could be addressed.
All right, so here's my statement there, Derek. While I agree that there is a lot of accountability to go around, you are the face of this franchise. You are the starting quarterback that Mark Davis thought could bring this team to the promised land. You have failed this organization mightily this year. This was the most important year of your career, in my opinion, because you have all the tools offensively to succeed. How many balls did you overthrow or underthrow, particularly the last 3 quarters of this football game? How many mistakes did you make? That wasn't because someone didn't run their route correctly. It was because you, as the face of this franchise, were terrible for most of the game yesterday. Terrible. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You shouldn't be doing the teaching. You need to do your job. Now, what he said, and I can read between the lines, if you're a logical human being, he wanted to hold certain people accountable, but he didn't want to say it in front of the media. That's basically what he's saying. There's certain things I want to say, but I'm not going to say it here. Okay, well, there's a lot of things that others are saying about you. Look at yourself in the mirror. Yes, there are other guys that didn't play well. Yes, the coaching staff and the play calling was atrocious. You're not playing anywhere near the expectations that some put upon you. And there are still people in this town that are on the air. I won't mention names. Some will do sports handicapping shows in this town that are on the gonads of Derek Carr and have been for years. And I am sick of it. I said it 3 or 4 years ago when the Raiders got here, and I say it now. Derek Carr is an average quarterback, okay? He has flashes of brilliance in some games. Even this year, there was at least one game where he was fantastic. Derek Carr is not an above-average quarterback. He's just not. At best, a top 15 quarterback in the league. And I can name you right now 15 quarterbacks that I would rather have in right here in Las Vegas than him. Here's what the Raiders, in my opinion, need to do, and they need to do it now.
I think he's right at that number. I think he's right there around 15 in the NFL. That initial take that he had in that press conference right there didn't make any sense, because you're saying things, you're coming out and saying, well, there's a lot of things I would like to say right now, but to be honest, I don't want to say them. It doesn't make any sense what you're saying.
What?
You're essentially by being elusive in that situation, you're not being honest.
Well,
so it doesn't really make any sense.
So what he's doing is he's trying to take a little bit of heat off himself and saying, boy, I'd like to say some things about other people, but I'm going to leave that in the locker room. Now let me answer what I was just alluding to.
But one more thing too that you said, Brian, that's not correct. You said that he has all his weapons. He doesn't. Okay, and a very big weapon has been not available for much of this season, and obviously I'm talking about the likes of Darren Waller. Darren Waller is one of the best tight ends in the NFL. He hasn't essentially been healthy most of the year, so it's not a situation where, I'm pointing out what you said is not correct.
Regardless,
he hasn't had all the weapons.
Regardless, you have arguably the best receiver in the NFL.
Yes, you do. Yes.
Josh Jacobs is having
better running backs in the league.
Josh Jacobs is having a career year. You've got other receivers that are very, very capable. Yes, he doesn't have Darren Waller. There is no excuse for this team being 2-6.
Hollins is a decent receiver.
Yes.
And absolutely, Hunter Renfrow has underperformed.
Yes, agree.
So
there is no excuse for being 2-6 with the talent they do have out there.
No
okay.
Question. Yeah.
So here's what I think the Raiders should do. They're not going to do it. I know Mark Davis isn't going to fire Josh McDaniels. It's not going to happen. So Raiders fans out there that are saying, please fire Josh McDaniels, let's just live in reality. It's not going to happen.
Well, it could happen.
No. If they fired him,
it could happen. You don't have
it's not going to happen.
sit-down meetings with a
head
coach in a season that has been as tumultuous as it has been this year.
Chris.
Well, look, I mean, you're dismissing what my take, Brian. It could happen. Okay. It's probably not going to happen, but it absolutely could happen. You're saying, again, definitively, that there's no chance that he could be fired.
Here's why.
He absolutely could be fired.
Here's why.
He absolutely could be fired.
Here's why.
Okay, why?
First of all, Mark Davis made a statement just a few days ago before this game saying there is no way that Josh McDaniels is losing his job. He's going to be here for years. That's number one.
Well, for years.
Number two. I talked to several people that cover the team on a regular basis and are very close with the GM, and they have off-the-record conversations. There is zero chance that they're firing him this year. Now, could they fire him next year? Possibility, sure. They're going with the problem is, and this is what I've heard through, again, people that cover the team every day that are a lot closer to the team than I am, is that the coaching staff not happy with the team, that the certain players that they have with the prior regime. Now, that to me is an excuse, but they are going to be going with a system they have put in place. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it. And by the way, if they fire Josh McDaniels and the entire coaching staff today, I would say probably a good move, because I don't see this guy. There are people in this town that disagree with me, but I don't see this guy being a very good coach at all. By the way, I saw a stat that said he's lost 23 of his last 30 NFL games after starting with the Denver Broncos 6-0. That is atrocious. And why Mark Davis would even hire this guy to begin with makes zero sense to me. Now, going with that, here's what I think the Raiders need to do, which I alluded to before, but I didn't really expand on it. First of all, you got to give other guys a shot on the field and evaluate some of the talent that's not getting. I would bench Derek Carr. I wouldn't even play him the rest of the season. You got to get rid of him. And whether that means draft a young quarterback, fine. I'm okay with that. The season is over. I'm not saying tank. And by the way, I'm not saying they're losing games on purpose, but some of the Raiders fans out there that were on social media after the game against Jacksonville, up 17-0, losing the game, some of the people that were questioning that, I don't think it's a completely unreasonable statement. Do I think they're tanking? No. But I don't blame Raiders fans for asking that question. When you're up 17-0 against Jacksonville and somehow you only score 3 points through 3 quarters, I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. I just don't think they're doing that. You need to get rid of Derek Carr. You need to get rid of him now, before, in my opinion, the coaching staff. Get rid of Derek Carr. He is not the right guy for this job. Even if you get draft picks, whatever the case may be, Derek Carr needs to go. The problem is he's on a mega contract, and there's probably a lot of teams that are not going to want to pay out that contract, especially with the way he's performed this year. But you got to find a way to get rid of Derek Carr, period. I don't care.
The problem with that, Brian, though, is this. We are just a matter of 2 weeks removed from where Raider Nation, the coaching staff, and members of the Raiders organization, after that win over the Houston Texans here at Allegiant Stadium, were all kinds of praising Derek Carr. And it went back into the narrative of Derek Carr is our guy. Derek Carr is one of the more underappreciated quarterbacks in the NFL. All this glowing stuff regarding him. Now we understand what has transpired the last 2 weeks with this team, with losses to the Saints and of course the Jaguars. And now the script is kind of flipped. And people are talking about how Derek Carr is a big part of the reason why they haven't been successful. And
he
so
is.
Now you're
he is. Do you disagree with that?
Now talking heads like us and you and I, we're in studio right now, and you're talking about how they absolutely need to get rid of the guy.
They do.
And that it should be a done deal, signed, sealed, and delivered.
Yes.
That they should get rid of him.
Absolutely.
And maybe they do, maybe they don't. But again, I have to reiterate. Just a matter of 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how he was going to be a big part of whether or not they're going to be able, whether or not they're going to be able to make a run to a.
Let me ask you a question.
Position.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Right now, as you see it, you've seen enough of Derek Carr. Do you believe that Derek Carr is the guy that will take this team eventually to a Super Bowl? Do you believe he's that guy?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
No.
so we agree.
So
why not get rid of him now? You agree with me?
Well,
if you can.
Well, there's 30 something teams in the NFL. And if people are being realistic, that's not going to be the standard. That's not going to be that's not the realistic standard that NFL teams use when it comes to dealing with their personnel on a week-to-week basis, Brian.
Okay. Sit 'em.
So, for example, I'm saying like exactly that point you just made, right? You just said this 2 minutes ago. You said they should sit him for the rest of the season and play the backup. That's not going to happen.
I know
that's not how the NFL works.
I know
Brian.
it's not going to happen.
I'm not trying to be condescending to you, but that's not
at
all how the NFL operates. Derek Carr is the franchise quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders here in 2022. They're not going to start the backup because Derek Carr, this is being theoretical, of course. Even if Derek Carr goes out there and lays an egg every single week the rest of the year, this is what this team is about. Derek Carr is their leader. He's the guy. And so they're not going to be going outside of injury. Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback of this team.
Well, there are
so
people on social media
because they're 2-6 right now. which is basically halfway through the season. They're not going to bench Derek Carr in place of and put a backup.
I know
in.
you made that point.
That's
I'm
a
just
backup
saying,
for a reason.
I understand what you're saying. It's probably not going to happen. I didn't say it was going to happen. I'm just saying that's what I would do. There are people on social media that are saying, you can cut Carr and save $110 million as well, and you could bring some other talent in there. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I think we all could agree on this. The Raiders have been a complete embarrassment this year. The game yesterday was an embarrassment. The game against the Saints were an embarrassment. Let's keep in mind they barely beat a horrible Houston team at home several weeks ago. They were losing that game as well. They were fortunate to beat Houston. This is a bad football team, a poorly coached team. I don't understand the play calling. The defense is soft. We thought the defense, we talk a lot about Card, rightfully so. The defense has been horrible and just horrendous the last several weeks. So changes need to be made. I think changes will be made. I don't think Josh McDaniels is going to be fired at all based on what I've heard. I wouldn't be against it, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. We can all agree. Yesterday was an absolute embarrassment for Raider Nation. This has been a disaster for Mark Davis. This is pathetic. There's too much talent on the field. Even if you were 500 at this point, I would say you should have a better record than that. There's too much talent on the field. I don't care how good the AFC is. For you to be 2-6 and lose to two bad football teams week to week, it would have been one thing if the team showed some heart and won yesterday against a bad football team. I would say, okay, they showed some heart. Let's try to string some wins together. Could they beat, and will they probably beat the Colts? The Colts just fired their coach, so they'll probably beat the Colts, but I ain't betting on the Raiders to win, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, we'll continue to monitor this. The Raiders are, you want to talk about drama, not drama off the field like last year. And by the way, one more thing I want to mention before we go to break. I am so sick of Josh McDaniels saying we need to learn how to win. And this is a question that I'm going to ask Derek Carr this weekend after the game, win or lose. I would say, Derek, you guys won a lot of close games last year. Clearly, you guys knew how to win close football games, right? You guys knew how to win. Do you agree with your coach when he says you guys need to learn how to win when a lot of you guys that were on this roster last year clearly knew how to win? That is a question I will ask Derek Carr. I'm sick of maybe Josh.
Brian, it's one thing if you're Josh McDaniels and you do it in week 3 and 4. It's another thing when you get into week 8, 9, and 10.
He said it again yesterday.
Saying the same exact thing.
He said it again.
It destroys your credibility, and as what you alluded to, it ends up being a situation where the head coach loses the locker room. And we are both in agreement on this. I just don't think that Josh McDaniels is a good fit as the head coach of the Raiders.
Well, I'll take it a step further. I don't think he's a good fit as a head football coach. He's probably a good fit as an offensive coordinator. But let's also keep in mind he happened to be the offensive coordinator with the head coach being arguably the best coach in the history of football and the best quarterback in the history of football, Tom Brady in his prime. I'm not saying he's a bad offensive coordinator. The guy's got 1 million rings. What I am saying is he is not a good head coach. He proved that in Denver. He's proving it now with the Raiders. He is another protege under Bill Belichick that everybody assumes, like Weiss. Remember when he took the job at Notre Dame, and that was a complete disaster. Josh McDaniels is not a good head football coach. Period. End of story. We'll continue this conversation, a little bit later in the week, Chris. But I think we all could say this is an abomination, an embarrassing season for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Quickly, Brian, I saw a great tweet from a couple people where they talked about Josh McDaniels. They're saying he'd be better off if he would have stayed in New England. It would have been better off for the Patriots.
Well, he would have.
And probably would have been better off for the Raiders as well, too.
Well, he would have.
Fair point.
Talk about job security.
Made on social media.
I agree with that. I agree with that statement. But, if he took the UNLV coaching job, I'd be okay with that. Anyway, we'll take a quick break. I want to tell you guys about my friends at Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care. They take most walk-ins. They take walk-ins. They take most insurance. If you don't have insurance, $95 payment. Give them a call, 702-248-0554. You could also visit them online at SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, speaking of franchises that are in turmoil right now, I think it's fair to say the Brooklyn Nets are in a little bit of turmoil. Not only can they not win a basketball game, but they got an anti-Semite on their team named Kyrie Irving. Jamison Welsh, our hoops guru, will be joining us next. Will Kyrie Irving play another game in Brooklyn? We'll ask him that question coming up next. We'll take a quick break. He's Chris Wynn. I'm Brian Shapiro. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer. Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Best of Las Vegas winners each of the last 2 years. Glazed Donuts is a family business. Taste the passion and quality in each delectable handmade donut. Experience amazing fresh donuts at Glazed Donuts, located at 6545 South Fort Apache Road on the southwest corner of Sunset. Glaze is open every day from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're interested in large orders, please call them at 702-246-2888. Follow Glaze on Facebook and Instagram, where they're showing off all their delicious treats. And check them out at glazedonutslv.com.
All right, welcome back. Pushing the Limits on a Monday. I don't know if I made friends with any of the Raiders coaching staff that last segment, but I'm just being honest, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I do. Chris Wynn joining me in studio. We got Patsy Brown, who's running for office. She is going to be joining us in studio hour 2. We'll get to the elections coming up tomorrow with her and mix it up. But speaking of mixing it up, listen, I've never been a Kyrie Irving fan. Is he a great basketball player individually? Absolutely. He's a phenomenal player. Is he a cancer to his teammates at times? Yes. Does he make ignorant statements? Yes. You know, like when he says the earth is flat, I don't even know if he's serious when he says that. Is that really going to hurt anybody? No. But he took it a step further. Once again, I didn't like his take on the vaccines, but to me this is even worse when you retweet a documentary with a bunch of anti-Semitic tropes, calling basically all Jewish people demons, and then you have multiple opportunities to apologize, which he basically refuses to do, and then when he's suspended and it affects his pocketbook, then he decides to apologize, but he doesn't get in front of the media and do it. Will he ever play another game for the Brooklyn Nets? Well, the guy joining us on the line right now is going to help us sort this out and answer that question. My hoops guru, of course, Jamison Welsh, joining us right on the line. Jamison, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm doing well, fellas. I missed the last segment, the Raider conversation. I'm pretty sure it was very interesting in the city. Right now, a lot of people are very upset because tickets are so high and the team is performing so poorly. So I'm very curious to see how that went. But other than that, all is well.
Well, to sum it up in 20 seconds, Jamison, Josh McDaniels is not a very good head coach. Derek Carr has underperformed. This team is an embarrassment. Changes need to be made. There you go. You just heard the – yeah.
It was safe to say, Jamison, that we were not waxing poetic on the silver and black in
no,
that segment.
Definitely not.
Understood.
Yeah. So Jamison, obviously me being Jewish, it doesn't matter whether I'm Jewish or not. I can't stand it when people say, oh, well, you're Jewish. That's why you're upset. No, I'm upset when anybody says anything that is whether racist or anti-Semitic, you name it, I call it out. The way Kyrie Irving has handled this whole situation to me is just such an embarrassment to him, to the franchise. As a whole, before we get into specifics, what are your thoughts on this whole Kyrie Irving situation?
Well, it's a lot of ways to take a look at it. First and foremost, I look at it from the Brooklyn Nets in a basketball situation. Because this was supposed to be, when they got these guys together, this was supposed to be a title contender, a dynasty, championship team, all that stuff. Like, all that. And right now, they're nowhere near it. Like, they're probably the furthest away from it. Like, they're probably better off losing the rest of this year and getting a high draft pick than trying to figure out how to make this season work. That's the first thing. And with this team, especially with Kyrie, it's always been something. It's always something. You mentioned the anti-vax stuff, and he has his right to feel how he feels about that. That's fine, whatever, But he missed a lot of games, and they never got to the point where they were a true contender with all those guys healthy. They just never got to that point for various reasons. And then now you have this. And this is another distraction, another way to not play, another way to miss games, another way to become the center of the story at the same time avoid playing basketball games. And Kyrie Irving has specialized in not playing basketball games, but at the same time stealing attention from everyone else. And that's why we're here now.
All right, so from a basketball perspective, yes, certainly I agree with everything you said. Do you agree with me that I don't find Kyrie Irving to be a very smart person with the statements that he's made even before this? And what I think happened is that he retweeted this out. I'm not even sure he actually watched the documentary. If that's true, all he needs to do is get up there and say, you know what, I didn't see the documentary. I didn't see all the statements that were made, and I apologize to the Jewish community. Then we wouldn't be having this conversation now. Just be a little bit more careful with your platform. But he didn't do that. He claims he watched the documentary. He had opportunities to apologize. He had opportunities to answer direct questions. He was combative with the media in that first press conference. The second press conference, he's asked flat out, are you anti-Semitic? Doesn't say no. I don't care who you're talking to. If you're not anti-Semitic, no, I'm not anti-Semitic. You must answer the question in that fashion. He did not do so. And then only apologized like a coward after it affected his wallet. What do you make of that? Do you agree with me?
Well, here's the thing. Whether he apologized last Monday or last Thursday, that's kind of why we're here. If he would apologize right when it happened, we're not having this conversation today. The issue is the apology came like 4 days later, and it's just a really botched situation. I think a lot of the outcry is people understand when you work for an organization like the NBA, yes, you get paid a lot of money, but not all that money is based off what you can do on the basketball court. Mm-hmm. When you make that kind of money, there's also responsibilities you do have. Right. And if you're going to share certain things, they better be 100% factual. You're going to promote certain things.
Right.
It has to be 100% factual, whether it's deemed hate or not, or against one thing or not. It has to be 100% factual. Once you share something and it's not, you're going to be able to face the backlash from that, because the league has an image to protect and uphold. And if you want to cash the check, you got to play by a certain way of rules, and that's just how it goes. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of blunders over the last week that this whole situation has had. I
want to ask you one more, and then I know Chris has a lot to ask you about as well. One more question, then we'll go to Chris. So I remember, and you remember, and we all remember when Miles Leonard was playing a video game and he used a horrible word to describe Jewish people. I gave Miles Leonard, now I was upset, but I love the way Miles Leonard handled the situation. I thought he handled it afterwards perfectly. Number one, He apologized right away. Number 2, it was heartfelt. He went to synagogues. He talked to rabbis. He was emotional. He spoke to kids. He owned what he did. He learned about the history of the Jewish people. I immediately said, we need to accept his apology. He made a mistake. And by the way, when he said that word, I don't even truly think he actually knew how hurtful it was. He learned. And I gave him all the credit in the world for that. And I saw the emotion in his face. He knew the people that he hurt, and he owned it. And I thought that was very... what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't do that for himself. I never felt like his apology tour, that it was for him. I felt like it was to educate himself and to express how sorry he was for what he did. I feel like this is an opposite from that. Do you agree?
No, I don't think it's necessarily the opposite. I just think that you have Kyrie Irving, who's a different guy. Like, Kyrie Irving is a guy that he views himself as a deep-level thinker and all that. I don't necessarily believe he's the smartest guy in the room or anything of that nature, but he's totally opposite of Myers Leonard. Also, the situation is different as well. Myers Leonard used a term or a word that he should not have used. Kyrie Irving is being reprimanded for not apologizing for posting and promoting a link or a movie that has a lot of bad things in it. So the two things are separate, similar but separate. And I think they should be treated as such. However, the one thing they do have together is neither guy's going to play in the NBA again. This is it for Kyrie.
Really?
Like, Kyrie Irving's he's not playing in the NBA again. No, he isn't. It's not necessarily he can't play again or his apology's not going to be enough. All the items they're requesting for him to fulfill before he's able to come back again, that's not a 5-game stretch of stuff. That's not. Like, that's a lot of different things in like a 10-day time frame. That's the first thing. Secondly, the Nets are a luxury tax team, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. At the end of the day, the NBA is a business. And if they can get out of his contract and they can lower or get them out of the luxury tax altogether, they're going to do so. And when they use the word unfit, we've all worked in corporate jobs and regular jobs before. When a company uses the word unfit, that is an HR term. That is not a regular term that you hear being used all the time. That is an HR term. Once I heard that, I'm like, oh, they're going to try to come after his money and try to make sure they fire him with cause so they can get a luxury tax and get out of this whole situation completely.
So, Jameson, I want to have a response to both what you said and what Brian said regarding his state of mind. You said, of course, he thinks of himself as this deep thinker. And then Brian made the statement just about 3 minutes ago, just flat out saying, look, the guy is a moron. He thinks he's an idiot. Yep. Okay, I need to respond to that because there's a lot of sentiment out there regarding Kyrie Irving that he's not a dumb guy, but he just does a lot of dumb things, right? And says a lot of dumb things. That's kind of the sentiment from a lot of people, and I would tend to agree with that sentiment. The question I have for you, Jameson, is regarding the timeline with respect to the discipline that has come down, right, from the Brooklyn Nets. It seems to me that it was kind of delayed. It was delayed. It wasn't something that was instantaneous when it came to, these revelations coming out as far as the Brooklyn Nets, the NBA, and the powers that be made the decisions, right, regarding the discipline. I was curious about your thoughts on that and also the comments from both Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal and other prominent players and former players regarding Kyrie Irving and their views towards him. Essentially, it's all negative. Everything is negative towards Kyrie Irving, and they believe that that a lot of the discipline should have already been handed down, days ago when this all came to a head.
Whenever you have an entity like the NBA, you're never going to have something that just happens very sharply. Remember, the Donald Sterling thing happened, if I'm not mistaken, on a Thursday. Like, TMZ leaked the stuff on a Thursday or I want to say Friday. I think everything went crazy. The announcement didn't come until Sunday afternoon. I was actually at the game when the announcement happened at. So things take time. This is not a situation where something happens at your job and you get fired right away. It doesn't work that way. There's so many different things at play. The legal aspect, like I just mentioned, there are certain ways if you're going to deactivate somebody, you're going to suspend someone, you got to consult with your legal team first before that even happens.
Right.
So you can't just say, hey, we got to hold it. No. You got to wait until you get the okay from legal and then proceed from there. Knowing NBA teams like I know them, they're going to try to get out of his contract. And the word contract detrimental to the team is about to be used very quickly here. And once that gets used with the unfit part, they're going to try to get out of his contract. And if they get out of his contract, it will not be a luxury tax team.
Right.
And that is very huge for the future of that organization if they decide to blow it all up. Now, when it comes to other players and guys making comments, they're free to say what they say. I mean, they probably know him more than we do, so they're able to make certain comments. And it's tough because they're in a tough spot because no one knows. I haven't watched the movie, so I can't speak on what it's in there, what's out there. I've just heard from other third-party accounts of what it said and certain things. The one thing I've heard, I don't know if I'm right here, I heard that the film said the Holocaust didn't take place.
Correct. Not only does it say that, it calls all Jewish people demons, and I can go on and on. I don't even want to repeat some of the stuff.
Yeah, here's the thing on that, Jameson. You and I don't have to even watch the movie. We can take the word of people like Brian Shapiro and others that have actually seen the movie, and it's not like it's not like we have to have a firsthand account of what took place to actually believe that there are anti-Semitic tropes that are in the actual movie.
Let me just push back on a few things, and Jameson, you might very well be right. He might have played his last game in the NBA. I, with my opinions, disagree. I believe he played his last game for the Brooklyn Nets. I believe he's too good of a basketball player. This is about money, and somehow, some way, it might not be this year, it might not be next year, but I think some team is going to pick him up.
Right, it's over. If some team wanted him, they would have already got him. Right, it's over.
I think some teams are. You might be right, Jameson. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think if the dust ever settles, he's too good of a basketball player, and he still will sell tickets. And this is about money. You could be right. I could be wrong. You make very valid points. I'm just saying I'd like to believe that he is going to play in the NBA sometime, somewhere. It wouldn't even surprise me if it was this year, and I'll bet you dinner on it. How's that?
We've definitely bet dinner on it. Here's the issue I have. He's a free agent after this season.
Correct.
Sports is way different now. If this was 10 years ago, I would agree with you 1,000%. But nowadays, with all the attention, all the media that covers it,
right,
the teams do not like the distraction or possible distraction.
Understood.
That a certain this may cause. And I'm not saying it has nothing to do with his ability. We all know what he's capable of on the court.
Yep.
It's the distraction, the everyday distraction. People
Jameson, you might be right. Let me be very clear, Jameson. And again, you might be right. You make some valid points. If that does happen, I'd be very happy with that because, quite frankly, I'm not sure he deserves to play in the NBA again. Here's something where maybe I disagree with both of you on is this. I don't consider Kyrie Irving a deep thinker. I consider Kyrie Irving a deep idiot. Okay. Now, a lot of people use the term, I do my own research. Well, a lot of those people believe that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. A lot of those people retweet Alex Jones. I don't think there's anything deep thinking in what Kyrie Irving does. I just think he's a complete ignoramus. He's a moron. I mean, just because you go on social media or you go on the internet and you look up Alex Jones stuff, to me, there's no deep thinking in that. I don't think he's very intelligent. He believes in conspiracy theories. To me, deep thinking is when you actually have conversations with really intelligent, sane human beings and you're willing to learn, okay? I don't even consider myself a deep thinker. I also don't consider myself Albert Einstein either. But I enjoy speaking with intelligent people and learning. And that's not Alex Jones, and that's not anti-Semitic movies. I don't think anything Kyrie Irving does, to me, is deep thinking. I just think he's a complete moron. He's an egotistical idiot. He's also a cancer to his teams. When you look at what he did in Boston and now here, he ruins teams. I mean, it's just, to me, yeah, he's a great basketball player. But everyone wants to say, oh, well, look, he went to Duke. Okay, big deal. He went to Duke for 1 year. So what? That doesn't mean you're smart. I just think he's a moron. I don't think there's anything about he does that's deep thinking.
Well, let me clarify, quickly, Jameson.
In the Duke, you got to be kind of smart. Like, you can't just be anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And look, let me clarify, too, right, Jameson? We both, you and I, did not say that he's a deep thinker. We were just pointing out that he believes. Kyrie Irving believes he's a deep thinker, Brian. So I just want to clarify that because you're talking about it like both Jameson and I believe that he is actually someone who possesses those characteristics. He does not. And I, in fact, would agree with you. And I don't know if Jameson can concur on this. I think that Kyrie Irving is someone who's very arrogant. I think he's somebody that is very dismissive. I think he's somebody that likes to be a contrarian. He's somebody that likes to just put up a fight and have an argument with you and take the other side just to do it. That's what I think he's that kind of person. I think that's the kind of guy he is. But I'm not going to go as far as you do, where I'm just going to make a blanket statement that I think he's a moron or an idiot. Because as I pointed out, again, like 5 minutes ago, I think there's a lot of people out there that have a little bit of sense, that are not complete morons.
Okay, here's
that
the difference.
That do and
Chris,
say stupid things
so Chris, here's
all
the
the time.
difference. Chris,
and I think Kyrie Irving is one of them.
Chris, Jameson, I'll get your thoughts on this. Here's the difference, okay? We're not talking about...
Well, it's not a difference. It's a clarification.
Okay, I'm just trying to respond. I'm just trying to respond to what you said. So the difference is, we're not talking about somebody at the water cooler having a conversation with somebody at work saying the earth is flat. We're talking about somebody with a huge platform, one of the most recognizable figures in all of sports. He clearly is too dumb to understand his influence, because if he did understand the influence, he wouldn't say and do the things he does.
Brian, he's just arrogant, though. He's arrogant. That's why that supersedes everything you just talked about. The point that he's he absolutely has a following. There's no question about it. That's because he's a famous athlete. But that doesn't have anything to do with his intelligence or has anything to do with how smart the guy is, or if he's a moron.
In my
that's
opinion,
just a different thing.
In my opinion, when you say things like the earth is flat, it's one thing.
That's ridiculous.
It's one thing to not
that's
want.
a provable point.
Hold on. I'm also saying, if you don't want to take the vaccination or you have hesitancy, that's one thing. He took it a step further and he spread misinformation about the vaccines. He is on the record as saying all these people are dropping dead from taking the vaccines. People are dying. It is medical misinformation, and if he had any brains, he would understand that not only is that not true, but you are really harming people. And then he said he wants to be a champion and speak for those that don't have voices. I'm sorry, he's doing an injustice when he does that stuff, and I'm not sure he understands that, Jameson.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the way he processes things is different than most. And again, it would be up to him to clarify things. The biggest issue here is this. His owner, the owner of the team, texted him, I believe it was on Tuesday, and Kyrie did not respond. Took 48 hours, he did not respond. At that point, that's when the Nets made a decision to suspend him. Whenever the person paying you checks is sending you notifications saying, hey, we need to talk, and you don't respond back to them, the owner of the team is left with no choice but to suspend you.
Right.
This could have all been avoided. But Kyrie and his arrogance and the way he does things said, nah, I'm cool. This is the same Kyrie Irving that was playing flag football last season before the two for the NBA opening night because he did not get vaccinated and New York had certain laws and rules and regulations. This is a different type of guy. Very odd guy, very weird guy in a lot of ways, but this is who it is. But the reason why he's suspended, all this going on, is because he didn't follow directions. If he responds to Josiah and they have a conversation about what's going on, this is probably all avoided. And it's not because Kyrie marches to the beat of his own drum. He's going to pay the consequences for that. This is a country of freedom of speech, but it's also freedom of consequences as well. And you got to be able to deal with that if you're going to speak or share any views or opinions. And that's where we're at.
And it's not just his basketball career, right? We're talking about him on the court. He has absolutely lost millions of dollars with respect to endorsements and relationships with companies because of this situation that's taken place.
No doubt. And I think if you combine Kyrie Irving and Kanye West and the comments and their behavior over the course of just the last month, you could make the argument it could cost them hundreds of millions of dollars combined. It's pure ignorance. Jameson, I would love to have you on again, and we can actually talk some basketball next time. But I appreciate you coming on, Jameson, as always. It's a crazy story. And we'll see who owes one another dinner fairly soon, I think.
It's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. There has to be a time limit on it because you can technically, if he comes back in 5 years, that's something totally different.
All right, give me this year and next season. Is that a bet?
Oh, that's too easy. Yeah, sure.
Okay, that. Jameson, always a pleasure having you on, my friend. Appreciate it, and we'll have you on again soon and talk some hoops, okay?
Thanks, Jameson.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's Jameson Welps, Hoops Guru. Made some great points there, no doubt.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with you, Brian. I think there is absolutely a possibility he could still play in the NBA, and for this reason alone. There's going to be people out there that are going to split hairs regarding this issue. They're going to say, okay, what exactly? I'm playing devil's advocate here. Don't jump on me. But there's people out there that are going to say, what exactly did he do? He retweeted a movie, right, that has anti-Semitic tropes in it. There was not any statement made by Kyrie Irving regarding the statements, obviously, that Kanye West made that were absolutely preposterous and ridiculous, right, that are offensive beyond all belief. So that's my point.
So
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Saying
So,
that
Chris, here's
there
the way.
absolutely could be a team that could wiggle
to
around
any
that and
to
get
any
signed.
logical human being. This is how Kyrie Irving should have handled that first press conference. It's very simple. Yeah. And by the way, I don't think he watched the movie. I really don't. I think he's a moron and he just retweeted it. But here's what he should have said. Guys, I understand I have a huge platform and I need to be more responsible with the things I put on my social media. I made a mistake. There's not a bone in my body that is anti-Semitic. I love all people. I made a mistake. I need to be more careful with the things I put on social media. I apologize to the Jewish community, to anybody that was offended, and I will be better. And then you know what? We move on. His career moves on. Be a little bit more careful, and end of conversation. But he did. He doubled down in that. He was very argumentative with the press. The story would have died right then and there, but instead he made it worse. And then in the second press conference, I think that was the end of the road in that second press conference when he failed to a yes or no. I say this all the time on my show, right, Chris? Like when we'll talk to Patsy Brown coming up next, and I ask Republicans this question all the time. Is Joe Biden a free and fair elected president? It's a yes or no answer, right? Are you an anti-Semitic? Yes or no? No, I'm not anti-Semitic. He didn't give that answer. I thought that was the last straw for the Nets organization.
But quickly to that point, that's what Jameson was talking about. This is a guy who's very arrogant, right? He loves to be a contrarian. He loves to kind of be he loves to go against you in certain situations.
Well, it's costing him now.
And when it comes to his viewpoints.
Yeah.
And he thrives on that. And unfortunately for him, it's not going to be good for him on a professional level.
Good. I hope the guy never plays in the NBA again. There is no room for hate speech. And, to me, this is just like, in my opinion, if a white basketball player endorse somebody who is a Klan member on social media, or endorse somebody that throws out the N-word and said, hey, I really like this guy. Check this out. It's the exact same thing. I would say the same thing about that player. Shouldn't be allowed to play in the NBA again unless you handle it differently than the way Kyrie Irving handled it. But anyway, we got to take a break. We'll continue to monitor this one. And I think I just won a free dinner. I do think he plays somewhere, Chris. You agree with me on that. I want to tell you guys, I'm going to invite Chris Wynn to this and Numchuck and whoever would like to go. Tuesday, November 15th. It's called the 15th Annual Ping Pong Palooza. It's raising money for 100% of the proceeds for the Prostate Foundation. It's at Sapphire. Pretty good view over there as well. It's a ping pong tournament. 4 teams. A team consists of 4 players, including 1 female. That's mandatory. So maybe, Chris, if you wear a wig, maybe they'll accept you. I don't know. That might be suspicious. Might not be. Team registration, you can check them out at sapphireprostatefoundation.org/ping pong. Again, it's Tuesday, November 15th. You're all invited, 7 p.m., the 15th Annual Ping Pong Palooza, 100% of the proceeds going for charity. Chris, will you be there?
I will be there. That is a great atmosphere. We've been there multiple times, Brian.
Yep.
And when it comes to gentlemen's clubs, you can't get much better.
Yes.
Do you have your team all picked out?
I do, but sadly, I don't think my teammates are very good.
Shapiro's a ringer, Numchuck. This guy saw him single-handedly take down a ton of NBA stars at the Palms.
Chris Wynn saw me win.
He was
That's right.
He was just taking.
You
down
watched me
people
win
left
the
and right.
NBA Summer League table tennis tournament.
I actually competed against a couple of NBA players.
Daryl Morey,
I'm decent.
Do you know the former? Where is Daryl Morey now?
Isn't he in Philadelphia now? Isn't he
he was
director of players
correct. He was the GM at the time. He was the GM for the Houston Rockets.
Right.
And he held this quickly. I'll tell the story. He held this ping pong tournament, NBA Summer League, and he's a pretty good player, right? He held it, raised money for charity every year. I show up and I just destroyed him in the finals in front of everybody, and I embarrassed him. And the next year he didn't show up. He never showed up to the table tennis tournament ever since then. So we joke. I talk to him on social media once in a while, and we joke about it. All right. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, one of the few Republicans that I actually voted for this election, Chris. Her name is Patsy Brown, running for public administrator at Clark County. Oh, boy, do we have a lot to talk to her about. The elections are tomorrow. This is an exciting time if you're really into politics. Could be a scary time if you're a Democrat. We'll talk about that coming up next. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York-style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client. So please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer. Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
Experience the Artisan Hotel's themed suites, restaurant, bar, pool, and complimentary valet. During the week, the Artisan is a quiet Las Vegas retreat that's great for travelers and locals. The weekend is all about nonstop partying and the award-winning Artisan nightlife. All rooms include free gym access and Wi-Fi. The Artisan Hotel is centrally located between the Strip and downtown Las Vegas. Book your stay at artisanhotel.com. The Artisan Hotel, your unique Las Vegas boutique hotel.
The best choice for convenience, comfort, and value, My Place hotels are ideal for both short-term and long-term travelers. The rooms at My Place features pillow-top mattresses, microfiber bedding, and a variety of soft and firm pillows. All extended stay rooms offer their own kitchen, which includes a full-size refrigerator and a cooktop. On-site laundry facilities are also available for extended stays at pet-friendly My Place hotels. Book your stays online at myplacehotels.com. My Place Hotels, St. George, and West Jordan, Utah. Make My Place your place.
Pushing the Limits, weekdays noon to 2 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Oh boy, tomorrow election day, the midterms. We're 24 hours away, and by late tomorrow night, I think we should have a pretty good understanding of who the winners are and who the losers are. And we got a lot to talk about. You know, I went and I voted last week, Chris, and I was harassed by a Republican who's running for office. I won't mention his name, but he's an idiot. And I voted for several Republicans, and I am an independent, and I don't think I have a lot in common with, not all, but a lot of Republicans these days, and I can give you many reasons why. I think you know those reasons. But I did vote for several Republicans that were on the ballot, and the reason why I did is because I know all of them personally. I know they are good people. They are not election deniers. They live in reality. They're not Kyrie Irving or Jim Marchant. Yes, I had to throw that one out there. And they're not QAnon conspirators. And the lovely lady sitting to my right is one of those people that I voted for. She is running for public administrator of Clark County. Not only is she a very nice person, her and her husband, but she is a reasonable, I would like to call her a Reagan Republican.
I am a Reagan Republican.
Yes, Patsy Brown joining us in the studio. Patsy, it's good to see you. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good.
Yes.
Blessed,
It's a little cold outside. I know you're wearing sweaters.
Listen, I'm windblown. You got to forgive me.
That's quite all right. I don't have any hair, so I don't have to worry about stuff like that. Chris has a full head of hair, unlike me. Your husband is bald like me. So that's, hey, beautiful bald men. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
I love the bald.
Yes, that's right.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so you must be excited, right? We're one day away. You've been waiting for this for a long time. And I checked you off on the ballot. And by the way, several of my friends, I kind of coerce them into voting for you as well. So yes, I think you're going to win.
I've been telling everyone, my politics are as biracial as I am.
Well, I like that.
They are.
Yeah, I like that.
They are, and I've been, endorsed by both sides of the aisle. I am that candidate.
I like that a lot. What do you make of? And I'm going to attack both sides on this.
Okay, sorry, guys.
What do you make of all these negative campaign ads? I mean,
oh my God.
It's. I think this is listen. We've always had negative campaign ads, but Chris, I think you'd agree with me. It's as worse as it's ever been in my lifetime. I mean, it is out of control, isn't it? What do you make of that?
Listen, I can't play solitaire on my phone. I can't go to the mailbox without getting paper cuts. I mean, it's a mess, and they're taking each other out. You can't even, I don't know what anyone does, what their stance is,
right?
What their positive work. I couldn't tell you because they're so busy dragging their opponent.
Yeah.
You just don't. And they're everywhere.
Catherine Cortez Mastow is a pedophile, and
it's crazy.
Steve Sisolak is molesting children, it's like, dude, it's like enough already. We need to take our state back. I didn't know we lost our state. I mean, I don't know what they're talking about.
I had no idea. And I'm trying to think. We were somewhere, and it was super crazy. I'm like, why am I hearing a political ad here?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I think I was in the dentist's office. I'm like, why is it here?
By the way, I think Chris Wynn did the voiceover for one of those attack ads, didn't you, Chris?
I probably did, no question about it.
Yeah,
but there's no doubt, right, Patsy, when you talk about there's a lot of times it's very difficult to distinguish between what's actually factually accurate, right, and what is just absolutely just flat out propaganda out there when it comes to a lot of these political ads.
It's so hard. It's so hard. And I feel really bad for the voters because they're not really left with much to pick from. Right. Pick your poison.
So speaking of ads, I would like to play one for you.
All right.
Which I laughed at. It is an ad from America First Legal.
Okay.
I guess Stephen Miller, who worked under the Donald Trump administration, helped put this thing together. It's an anti-white bigotry ad.
Oh, Lord.
I want you to listen to this, and then we'll talk about it after. Here it is.
Okay.
When did racism against white people become okay? Joe Biden put white people last in line for COVID relief funds. Kamala Harris said disaster aid should go to non-white citizens first. Liberal politicians block access to medicine based on skin color. Progressive corporations, airlines, universities all openly discriminate against white Americans. Racism is always wrong. The left's anti-white bigotry must stop. We are all entitled to equal treatment under law. America First Legal paid for this ad.
Okay, so here's the thing. That is not a Saturday Night Live skit. That is not a joke. That is actually a serious commercial that is being run all over the place.
No, it's not.
What do you make of that?
You know what I'm going to say, right?
Yeah.
As I shouldn't say anything. But first thing I'm going to say is Kanye West.
Yeah.
White Lives Matter. Wasn't that a T-shirt?
It was with Candace Owens.
Wasn't it a whole thing?
It was. Yeah.
Stop
I think Chris
it.
designed those shirts.
Stop it. Stop it. I need everybody to stop.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
There are too many subcategories. Too many. It's stop.
I just think that ad is an embarrassment.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, listen, what do you?
And that's all I'm going to say.
I agree, Chris.
I can't.
I know it's frustrating, Chris.
There doesn't have to be a counter to every single cause out there, right? There doesn't have to be another side to things that are being discussed, whether they're social issues, there doesn't have to be. There can just be what's right and what's wrong.
Correct.
What's factually accurate and what's not factually accurate, right? That's where we're a place where we should be when it comes to American politics today.
No,
and we just flat out aren't there. We're not there right now.
Listen, I need someone to be a grown-up in the room.
Yeah.
100%.
Just
100%.
one person.
By the way, in that commercial, they have a bunch of white people crying in the corner and stuff, and it's like I thought it was a joke the first time I saw it.
I thought it was a joke just now.
And it's not. That is a serious ad that is being run by Stephen Miller in this moronic America First Legal. I don't even know what that is. All right. So as I mentioned, I voted for several Republicans.
Okay.
And I'm happy with that. But I'll be honest with you, I voted for a lot of Democrats. And the reason why I did is we hear this term all the time, and I want to get your thoughts on it. And I know you're not an election denier, but there are some that are running for office, and a lot of people that are running for office that are Republicans across the country, like 300 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Marchant, and I'm not asking you to badmouth any candidates. I'm just giving, that's my job. But but Jim Marchant is a QAnon conspirator. That's what he is. Okay. He's nuts. Adam Laxalt is somebody who said that if he loses the election, he's going to contest. But if he wins, everything's cool. Now, you're on the record on this show even as saying, hey, if I lose, I'm going to accept the outcome of the election.
Definitely.
Right?
What else did I say, though, too?
What else did you say?
I said,
remind me.
I've already won.
Well, I hope you do.
No, because of all
Right.
of the people,
Right.
all of the help, winning,
course.
success, it's all relative to the person.
And I remember that
I'm an
conversation
adult.
we had. No,
I'm an adult.
And I
so,
think that's what you're right.
I know.
And I think that's a wonderful way of looking at it, because I commend you for being out there campaigning and shaking all these hands and meeting all these different people,
Definitely.
whether they vote for you or not. It's nice to have these conversations with
Most
people.
definitely.
And so I applaud you for that, and I hear you. What do you make of just people in general that are attacking our democracy?
It's disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
There are, as I say, listen, there are people with real problems in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part of my day was waking up. There are people that didn't wake up this morning.
Right.
There are people that don't have lights on. There are people that got their cars repossessed. There are kids that lost their parents yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people with real problems.
Right.
So this is all BS.
Yeah.
And it adults in the room, and especially when you're taking positions of leadership.
Yeah.
We need leaders. We have to lead by example.
Right.
And there are, like you said, there are bad apples in every bunch. Dems, Republicans, Libertarians, and every bunch. And you have to vote the person, not the party. You have to.
Agree. Why is it that they don't let independents vote in these primaries? And that's not, by the way, that's on the ballot, where you can't vote in certain elections if you're an independent. I find that so un-American. And by the way, that's on the ballot. That's the third question on the ballot, which I voted yes for, by the way. And idiots in this town like Wayne Allen Kook, they'll say, vote no, vote no. Here's my reasoning why I believe people like that say vote no, because they know the more people that, I'm talking about Republicans, I'm not talking about you, I'm saying some Republicans like Wayne Allen, he's not even a Republican, he's just an idiot, but Wayne Allen Kook, who says vote no, because the more independents, in my opinion, that get involved in an election, that's not a good thing for Republicans. That's my personal opinion. I'm not saying every independent votes to the left, but I just feel like the more people that vote, and a lot of Democrats are saying the voter turnout is not great here in Clark County. What have you heard?
The voter turnout is not great.
Yeah.
In Clark, that's so far that we've heard, but we live in Clark County.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if we go to California, we go to Arizona, you will probably hear the same thing. I think people in general are disheartened with the leadership.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, humanity, we like to point the finger and blame.
Right.
And right now let's blame the Republicans. No. Let's blame the Dems.
That's the worst, isn't it?
Let's just start blaming people. I mean, isn't that the issue with Kanye West?
Yeah.
Let's point the finger.
I feel like there are so many politicians today that, want to attack Joe Biden and their administration, but yet they don't have any solutions. Like Mark Robertson, who's running against Dina Titus, who came in studio. He's just a complete clown. And he comes in studio and he just bashes Democrats, and every day he tweets stuff. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but he never says how. I'm going to fix inflation. I'm going to lower gas prices. He makes all these promises, but not one. How are you going to do it, right? How? As a politician and you're running for office, isn't it your job to explain how you're going to fix the issues?
I mean, you should.
You have a magic wand, a Republican magic wand. Hey, I'm just going to fix all the issues.
Well, I will tell you what I have learned on the campaign trail.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of people running for office that really don't have a full understanding of that office. Truly, they don't. Speaking for myself, the bulk of my campaign has not just been about educating people about the public administrator's office and what we do,
Mhm.
which is dealing with the assets of people when they pass away
Right.
without will, trust, but also educating people on getting their wills and trusts done.
Which is
And
really important stuff.
So
Yeah.
I'm educating people to keep them out of that office.
You're helping people. You need to have an understanding of what the job entails.
Exactly.
You know, I had Stephen Horsford sitting in that chair last week, and you're not a fan? No.
I'm a fan.
You don't have to like everybody.
I'm a fan.
If
I'm
you
a
don't like
fan.
Chris, it's okay. You can tell
I'm
us.
a fan.
But no, I had Stephen Horsford there, and I saw this was a man who I voted for, but this is a man who I saw was extremely stressed out. I could just look in his eyes. He came in here, and he's going through a rough divorce. Probably his fault, but we don't need to get into that. But I could see how stressed out he was, and how much it bothered him to have to talk about his family issues and stuff. And I say, why even run for office in some situations when your personal life is
the shit.
Right?
Isn't
Yeah. Isn't that like you can't? I just saw him, and he was just. I appreciated him coming in. I voted for him because I think he's a pretty smart guy. Not perfect, but he's a smart guy, and I agree with him on a lot of the issues we talked about. Obviously, I don't condone extramarital affairs, but that's a private issue.
Right.
I want to make sure you're fit and qualified to do the job. I do think Stephen Horsford has and is.
And I think it's unfair that people's personal situations clouds their professional.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you are an amazing professional.
Right.
And we're human. We have
Right.
flaws. We are not perfect. And a lot of times when you have genius or exceptional talent, you're going to be flawed in
question.
in another area.
No question.
I'm not fully aware. I've heard a little rumblings about that situation with him. I personally, he doesn't seem the most communicative at events, and that was my only.
He
thing.
seems.
I'm very. I talk to everybody. I'm the person that when I walk into the building, I don't care if it's the senator, the janitor, the security. I'm talking to everybody.
Yeah. Even
I'm
Chris?
even Chris. I'm not snotty about, and only talk to people, who are titled. And, that's my thing.
And I think that's a great quality. And I believe that's probably why you're going to win. Go ahead, Chris.
So, Patsy, talking about the midterms, look, politics is personal as well as local, right?
Yes.
And there are a lot of things that we address and we look at when we're talking about elections, whether it's the economy, whether it's immigration, whether it's election integrity and how things go down there. What do you think when it comes to Nevada are the most important things when people go to the ballot box tomorrow and vote? What are Nevadans thinking about when it comes to the key aspects when they actually pull that lever tomorrow for the elected representatives that they want in office?
What are they thinking about, or what?
What are the major? What do you think?
Should they be thinking about?
When the average Nevadan, right? When the average Nevadan rolls to the polls tomorrow, on election Tuesday, what is going to be on the forefront of their mind as far as the major topics that we care about here?
Of course, the economy, the gas, the inflation, abortion, all of those things. Who's controlling the Senate, the House? Yeah. To be honest, the things that they shouldn't be thinking about. They're worried about the top of the ballot, and that doesn't affect them like the lower ballot offices, those county offices, like the one that I'm in. Yeah. Listen, I'm administrative. I have no power other than to take care of you when your family member passes.
Did you vote already?
Of
course you did. Do you mind me asking, did you vote for any Democrats?
I did.
I like that. See, I like that about her. How many Republicans that are running for office today are willing to admit that, I voted for some Democrats?
I did.
That's somebody that I want to vote for because it's somebody that doesn't vote along party lines. I think that is so important. I won't ask you who you voted for, but I'm very interested if you voted for Sisolak or Joe Lombardo. But I would never ask that question, though.
And I say that because that lower ballot, where I am, those county, the recorder, the clerk, we're the people that deal with you locally.
I need to ask you another
Tony Shea situation.
No question. No question.
We help you. Those people up and they don't care.
Be honest,
about you
though.
Like that.
I got to ask you, if Chris Wynn was running against me for governor, who would you vote for? I have to ask you that. That's a tough question.
You're so cute. You know I vote for you.
Oh, wow. See, I love this girl.
You know
You
I
see
vote
that?
for you.
I love
She's
this
on
girl.
point. She nailed it.
It's my guy. It's my bro.
Well, I appreciate that. All right. Speaking of my guy, I love Jimmy Kimmel, right? This is a guy that worked in radio here in
So
Las
you want to hear a
Vegas.
good story?
Sure. Let's hear it.
So, back in California,
Yep.
restaurant business, right?
Mhm.
I used to cater. I used to craft service twice a week for him. Writer's room and everything.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Nice guy? Seemed
Great
like
guy.
a good, seems like
Great
a good,
guy.
good
Great
dude,
guy.
right? I love
Yeah,
Jimmy
great
Kimmel.
guy.
So I spoke with him because he opened up the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club here in Las Vegas, and I had a chance to speak with him and Jeff Ross of all people. I mean, just talk about a character there. And I just talked to him about how much I appreciated his honesty in going after bad politicians and calling out their hypocrisy. And I think he's a very funny, talented guy, and I'll always be jealous that he dated Sarah Silverman, who I've always had a crush on.
I love her.
But that's another story. So Jimmy Kimmel put out an ad in favor of Catherine Cortez Masto. I think it is brilliant. It's short, but it's more of an anti-Adam Laxalt ad. I want you guys to listen to this. This is Jimmy Kimmel putting out an ad saying, basically, don't vote for Adam Laxalt, and then we'll respond to it. Listen to this.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. I know everyone has complaints about politics. Republicans complain about Democrats. Democrats complain about everything, let's be honest. But if there's one thing I think we can all still agree on, it's that unbalanced people don't belong in the Senate. And that's why I am not endorsing Adam Laxalt. And neither is his family. 14 members of Laxalt's own family back his opponent, Catherine Cortez Masto. Why? Because they know him. You know that creepy cousin in every family no one wants to sit with at Thanksgiving? That's Adam Laxalt. The guy supports a QAnon wacko for Secretary of State. I mean, seriously, these people think JFK is coming back from the dead. I have some bad news for you, Adam. JFK isn't coming back, and even if he did, he wouldn't be voting for you. Forget which side you're on. Nevada needs a sane person in the Senate. Catherine Cortez Masto. I know her. We both went to Clark High School. She's a good person, a hard worker, and guess what? Her family is voting for her.
Oh, God, I love that. I'm dying. Oh, the first time I heard that, I nearly peed my pants because it's so hilarious, but yet it's so true. But it's true.
Can I say this, though? This is the only thing I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
You know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Oprah and Dr. Oz.
Ooh, yes.
Yes.
Don't we need to talk about that? You see what Kid Rock? You see what Kid Rock said about that?
No, I missed that.
So Kid Rock, who is I don't know, somewhere in his mobile home right now. Kid Rock is he made some statements saying that Oprah wasn't being genuine and that it wasn't fair because she endorsed and helped Dr. Oz with his TV career and dope. I mean, didn't Pamela Anderson explain this to you? I mean, just because you're not voting for somebody, maybe she disagrees. I would imagine she disagrees with some of his policies.
And that's what he said.
Yeah.
That was his statement. That and I've said this across the campaign trail, and this is what's wrong with politics right now. Yeah. What happened to us agreeing to disagree? What happened to it being okay to agree to disagree? It's okay that you don't believe the things that I believe. It's okay I may not agree with some of your beliefs, and you're not pushing them on me.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing them on you. Like, what happened to respect?
Speaking of respect, going back to that Jimmy Kimmel thing, what do you make of the fact that 14 members of Adam Laxalt's own family have endorsed Catherine Cortez? You know what the excuse I hear from Adam Laxalt? He goes, oh, well, they're just Democrats. Let me tell you something. There are a lot of family members of people that might disagree politically, but they're still going to vote for their family member. Why? Because they know who they are.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I
you
don't
have
know.
14 members of your family that won't even vote for you. What type of bad person do you have to be when you have members of your own, large members of your own family that will not vote for you?
Brian, I don't know. Now, you know the office I deal with, right?
Yes.
And the death and people.
Right.
You know what family and how they act when
Yes.
people die?
Yeah.
They're new family. These are not the people that you were raised with.
Yeah.
So family
So
turns.
that's true.
Family turns. So politics, fame, they may have been best friends before he became a political figure.
That might
Family
be true, but
acts
here's the thing that I look at that takes it a step further to me. If family members aren't going to vote for somebody, that's one thing. But they have gone out of their way to make it public and tell everybody. They wrote a letter to the Las Vegas Sun saying, we're voting for Cap. Like there has to be some serious stuff going on in that family. I would imagine members of your family are voting for you. Is your husband voting for you?
My husband
Oh, he is.
But
Okay.
let
All
me
right.
say this. No, and I'll be honest. You, with political celebrity,
Yeah.
you will find that you have enemies that you didn't know you had, even in your own family.
Yeah.
So honestly, I feel compassion for him because though we're joking about the funny commercial, that's hurtful that your
Sure.
family members turned on you.
It is.
Listen, publicly.
But if I ran for office, I do know some of my enemies. I could name you a few people that
Are they
probably.
your family though?
Oh, absolutely not. Well, Wayne Allen Root might be
You
that
don't
that
know.
weird uncle I never had, but I'm pretty sure Wayne Allen Kook wouldn't vote for me. I don't think Joe Lombardo would vote for me. Sigal Chattah probably wouldn't vote for me. Well, maybe she would say that I should probably hang on a crane somewhere. I don't know.
That was horrible.
Yeah. What do you make of that? What a nutty chick.
It confuses me, being that she's.
You think it's racist?
Palestinian. I've talked to her.
There's
know
race
her.
involved in that statement, right? When you
What do
you say a black
can't
man,
you can't talk about a black man hanging.
Right.
What's wrong with you? But
Yeah.
she's a minority herself and a double.
How do
She's
you-
a woman and she's Palestinian. She's Jew. We talked about
Right.
She's planning her kid's bar mitzvah in a couple of months. Like,
can you
don't
imagine
do
the stuff
that.
she says behind closed doors? If she's willing to go on social media running against a black man and says on social media for the world to see, I want my opponent to hang from a crane, can you imagine the verbiage that woman says behind closed doors?
I think that people, I call it attention-seeking behavior. I think when you are not genuinely enough, you're reaching for attention, you do things,
Like announce your presidency the day before the midterms, which apparently Donald Trump is going to be doing tonight. That type of attention, right?
Is he doing that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Apparently he's making the announcement tonight. That's the word. That's the rumor. I'm pretty sure he's not making an announcement that he's got gas. I'm pretty sure it's going to be that he's going to be running for president. That's the rumor. And what I've heard that his advisors or people around him, which are all, I'm sure, very wonderful people, are begging him not to do it. At least that's what I've heard, even on Fox News. But he wants to do it because he wants to make it about himself.
No.
I
find, and people like this, that I'm sure you guys have heard this. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest person in the room.
Well, that's bad. I guess I'm pretty weak then.
No, you know what I mean. You're working. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, Segal, to do that. And she's she's educated. She knows her stuff.
That's the thing that amazes me.
She
Why
didn't
not
need
just
to
talk
do-
about the issues? Like, what are
Listen,
you doing?
And she's a pretty chick. You know what I mean? She didn't need to do
Well,
all of that.
maybe
for the
not so
attention.
pretty on the inside.
But
That's
exactly.
yeah.
And I'm just saying she didn't need to do all of that.
Yeah.
She could have stood on her own.
You're right.
merit.
You make a good point. She is educated. You're right. She's not stupid.
Not
She
at
says a lot
all.
of stupid, horrible things, but
Yeah, not at
she's
all.
not stupid.
But you know who her bestie was?
Who?
You know
Michelle
her
Fiore?
bestie. No.
Who? Tell me.
Joey.
Oh, Lombardo. Yeah.
Joey.
So here's
they
a
were
funny
going
story.
Up and down
Yeah.
and traveling, and he's very, he was loud, and that was part of the.
Funny story in regards to that is I had my buddy Joey Gilbert, who
That's what I mean, Joey Gilbert.
our love affair that we have. We text each other now and then. I said, hey, I know you're friends with Sigal Chattah.
Yeah, they're
I
besties.
promise you I will treat her with respect.
Yeah.
Just like the last 2 times you came on. Maybe not the first time Joey came on, but he disrespected me too. That's another story.
Oh.
But anyway, I said, Joey, will you get your girl Sigal Chattah to come on the show? He's like, well, you promise you'll be nice? I said, I promise I'll be nice. And she called me, Sigal Chattah.
Okay.
And I thought we had a very nice conversation. I said, listen, just come on in. We'll have a good conversation. She agreed.
Yeah.
So the day before she was supposed to come on, she sends me a text message while I'm on the air.
Oh, dear.
And she says, I heard Joe Lombardo didn't, I don't know how to do an impersonation of her. So I heard Joe Lombardo didn't want to do your show, so I'm not doing it. And I said, what does that have to do with anything? You said you were going to come on.
Right.
Because I was going to hold her accountable. Now, if she goes on Kevin Wall's show or Alan Stock's show or any of the other right-wing echo chambers in this town that don't challenge anybody on anything, she'll go on those shows.
Right.
Or she'll go on a podcast with 4 listeners, John Brookhagen show. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, she'll do these shows. So when she loses, And by the way, she's going to lose. You're going to win. She's going to lose. I'm putting a guarantee stamp on that. I will send her a text message, and I'll be very nice. I'll say, well, it's a good thing you did the John Brookhagen show because it really seemed to help your campaign. Glad you didn't come on. I will send her a very nice message, and I will say that.
Wow.
Because I'm not a nice person sometimes.
We're going to work on that. I think I said before, we're going to work on that. We're going to work on
so
that.
Patsy,
we don't have nothing nice to say. We don't say anything at all. We're going to work on that.
He lays it right out there.
He does.
That's how he rolls. But to that point, right?
Yeah.
The political discourse, right? We all remember, long gone are the days, right, of the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, where Republicans and Democrats were civil. Right? We could actually address things, address issues, and go back and forth. Now we're in the era we're in today, right? Which is essentially the last 6-7 years in American politics where people are at individuals' throats, right? The one side accuses the other of just horrific things left and right. Are we too far gone, Patsy? Are we going to be able to get back to a sense of civility when it comes to politics and being able to have Republicans and Democrats in the same room and being able to sit down and compromise and be able to have a respectable back and forth that, quite frankly, just hasn't been the case the last 5+ years.
Yes, and it's listen, I'm starting the movement. I'm bringing Camelot back. Right. I am the candidate.
I thought you said Kamala.
Camelot.
Oh, okay.
Kennedy era.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, no.
You said Kamala.
No.
Okay. You're bringing Kamala together.
No.
Okay. I'm not a fan of Kamala.
I'm not either. Camelot, the Kennedys, that era. Right. But really, one of the reasons that I've been endorsed by both sides, I do the work. Yeah. I care about the people.
Right.
I'm listening to issues on both sides. I don't get into your personal beliefs, whether I agree or disagree.
Right.
We're talking about the work and the needs and the services that I'm trying to provide and what you're missing. That's it. I'm trying to serve the people.
Well, I'm going to help you out. You got to stop drinking that Red Bull. It's poison. I care about you. It's really bad for you. By the way, I had 3 Red Bulls yesterday.
Listen,
by the way.
Oh, and by the way, Brian and Patsy, I just got. We were talking about ads, right? And we're talking about text messages. Over this past interview that we've done with you, the lovely interview we've done, I've got a solid 5 or 6 text messages from people across the spectrum on my phone, so we all can understand.
Maybe we can read those when we come back.
It's only a few hours, guys, before we can.
Anyway,
no longer have those, all those alerts when it comes to politics.
So we're going to take a break. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Patsy Brown. She's running for public administrator, Clark County. One of the few Republicans that I actually did vote for. Another guy that was in studio a few days ago, or was it yet? No, today's Monday. What am I talking about? Friday. Tim Treffinger, who's running against Steve Wolfson. I am not a Wolfson fan. I never have been. I believe he's corrupt. He is not disclose what he should disclose publicly. I'm not a Wolfson guy. I never have been. And Mr. Treffinger works right across the street from here. I think he's a good guy, another Republican, and I'll gladly say I voted for him. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we're going to come back, you're not going to believe what Nikki Haley said in regards to Raphael Warnock. We have the audio to prove there, and we will continue the conversation on the other side. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment and work injuries, you name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555.
This announcement is brought to you by the Armed Forces Chamber, Nevada's largest and oldest chamber of commerce, formed to serve armed forces members. Your opinion matters. Your vote counts. You can make history. Vote Patsy Brown as the first female to be public administrator. Patsy Brown is a contract lawyer. Patsy Brown is a federal contractor with 15 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a business owner with 25 years of experience. Patsy Brown is a philanthropist. Patsy Brown is a Rotarian. Patsy Brown is endorsed by attorneys, business owners, community leaders, legislators, pastors, seniors, and veterans. Vote Patsy Brown from October 22nd through November 4th and November 8th. Learn more at votepatsybrown.com. Again, that's votepatsybrown.com. Paid for by friends who vote Patsy Brown.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Chris Wynn in the house. Nothing personal, Chris, but I'd rather look at Patsy Brown than look at you. I hope you don't take offense to that.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take any
Very
offense
beautiful,
to that at all.
Very beautiful in studio. Patsy, I was talking about Chris, not you. Very beautiful. Chris Wynn.
Although I do have a nice set of a nice head of 1970s Chips hair right now on my head. I'm looking a lot like John Ponch's partner from Chips.
Very sexy, Chris. Very sexy. All right. Anyway, I want to tell you guys about one of my favorite bars in town, probably my favorite gaming bar in town. I know Chris agrees with me on this one.
I love it.
Jackson's Bar and Grill. Hey, every Sunday you get $50 in free play if you get 200 points. Every Tuesday and Thursday they're doing a free wine giveaway. If you get 200 points, I got my free bottle of wine. Some restrictions apply in every Vegas Golden Knights game. Pass the puck went up to $100 in free play per period just for playing. Please check them out. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Great food, great atmosphere, located on Jones and Flamingo. I promise you'll have a good time. Tell them I sent you. Of course, we're joined in studio by Patsy Brown. She's running for public administrator at Clark County, and she's going to find out, hopefully, tomorrow night if she wins or not, which I believe she will. And we'll have to wait and see what happens. Do you get nervous or, like, the nerves going a little bit or no?
A little bit.
That's because Chris is sitting next to you. That's why.
A little bit. No, just kidding.
He's still going, Patsy. He's still
right.
keeping it up.
Yeah, no.
I can't help it. No, but I mean, this is exciting, right? Hopefully we'll find out by tomorrow
excited.
night, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I can't, the mail-in ballots are not, I wouldn't think that there's a ton of them. And I would think that you'll have an answer by tomorrow. How does this work, by the way? Does somebody call you or you just monitor the results online? Or how do you find out if you win or lose? How does that work?
Both. So we're monitoring online, and then we get that official from the office, electoral, the call.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's, you can tell online if there's, such a, difference in the numbers, and it's such a great,
Sure.
lead between. So
have you watched any of the debates, not just here in the state of Nevada, but across the country? Like, have you been, I know you've been very busy the last couple months, but have you watched any of the debates? Like, did you watch what do you make of Herschel Walker? What do you make of that guy? isn't he kind of an embarrassment? Like, don't you think Republicans are using him as like a pawn? That's what I think.
You know, I will say this about him. The whole, did he pay for, did he not pay for?
Oh, the abortion thing, yeah.
You know, I feel like, first of all, who I am at 48 years old is not the same person I was at 28.
Yeah.
And I am grown enough to say that. Yeah. And I think when you acknowledge that, no one's stupid. Yeah. And I think if he would have just come out and said, hey, you know what? I did that. That was a decision I made then. This is who I am now. Yeah. I think he would have had a different response.
Agreed.
He would have deaded the whole situation.
Agreed.
And people would have respected him and his campaign a little more.
Yeah, he's lying about a lot of things that happened in his life. But for the record, I'm probably the same person I was when I was 15. Now I'm 42. So
I mean, your core.
I have some growing to do.
No,
yeah.
our core. But, you know, I'm just
No,
saying,
I understand. You grow, you learn from mistakes you've made in your life,
but
and you become a better person. Yeah.
But your opinions do change about certain things.
It's like you got your son, Herschel Walker's son, who's basically calling his dad a liar. He's put out videos about having abortions. And, I mean, it's unfortunate.
I'm going to go back to that Laxalt and the Jimmy Kimmel and the family. Let me tell you something. I have experience, and I have friends who have experience, you know, when you hit a certain level of success and people are calling and you've got newspapers and press and people are dangling money in front of people, family and friends that don't have the money that you're making now, your family and friends will turn on you.
No question. You're right.
They do.
You're right.
And it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Well, when you lie about your personal life for political gain, or cover something up, it's insulting. It's insulting to your family, and you need to be honest. And if you're going to call yourself a pro-lifer, and then you've paid multiple women to have abortions, which I believe all these women, by the way, because they're not making any money by putting this out there, then I tend to...
Are we sure that no one's been paid?
Well, I mean, unless there's evidence, to prove it.
And we don't know. Yeah. And here's the thing. What's wrong with him paying for abortions
Nothing.
10 years ago?
Nothing.
And now, guess what?
Yeah.
I've changed my ways.
Nothing.
I'm born again. Now I'm a pro-lifer.
You have that right, and I would have some respect for you if you believe that.
Just say that.
Right.
I've
and by the way,
even if he
didn't change his views, on abortion is a difficult thing, but people have the right to do what they want to do, and I am not knocking him for having abortions. I am knocking him for lying about his past life.
And I agree with you on that. Be honest about who you are.
No question.
People love a comeback story. We don't like a liar, but we love a comeback story or a change.
Absolutely.
I used to be 500 pounds. Now I'm 200. People love that, but don't lie about it.
And by the way, the same Republicans that want to go after Futterman for having a stroke and the cognitive issues that he has are the same people that have no problem with Herschel Walker, who clearly cannot put a sentence together. Can you imagine and I don't want to make light of a stroke, by the way, and I also don't want to make light of somebody who's been hit in the head too many times. But can you imagine if Futterman and Herschel Walker had a debate? Can you imagine what that would sound like?
So wrong.
Let me tell you something.
Fetterman's way more composed. Fetterman, look, he's had a chance to recover. You're comparing Herschel Walker to Fetterman. Fetterman is way more capable.
All I am telling you is I would pay for that. Pay-per-view. I want to see Futterman have a debate with Herschel Walker, uncensored. I would pay for that pay-per-view. I'm just telling you right now, I would pay for that. But anyway, Herschel Walker's opponent, Raphael Warnock. He's an African-American man. He's a pastor. Seems like a decent man, a good family man, right? So Nikki Haley was under the Trump administration as the UN ambassador. Nikki Haley is touring with the Trumpers out there and supporting on the campaign trail. It's a short clip, but it's very important. I want you to listen to what Nikki Haley had to say about Raphael Warnock. Have a listen to this.
So the only person that we need to make sure we deport is Warnock.
Was she at a Klan rally? Do you hear those people clapping? I mean, I'm being serious now. They're clapping at that. Why should this man be deported? Why? Because he's black? What? First of all, he was born in this country. What the hell are you talking about? And second of all, why would she make that statement? And how about the people that were cheering?
Wait, was that it?
Yeah, that's it. They're cheering.
So the only person that we need to make sure we deport is Warnock.
Yeah. Was David Duke there? Like, what? What are they clapping
Patsy and
for
Brian,
it.
you know what that is. That's
They're
her just
clapping.
feeding red meat to the people that were there. That's a certain portion of the Republican Party that is a big fan of hearing stuff like that.
If your
It's
opponent,
not, it's not the majority of the Republican Party, but it is a portion of the party that would be receptive to something like that.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm having a real blonde moment. It kind of went over my head. Like I just didn't. It wasn't.
Patsy.
No, why are you laughing? I'm serious.
But Patsy,
It
if
just
a
went
white
over. I
woman,
don't get it.
if a white woman who was, say, campaigning with your opponent,
Mm-hmm.
got up on a stage and said Patsy Brown should be deported, what would be your reaction to that? Now, luckily, nobody has made that statement.
honestly,
Would you
I-
just ignore it, or would you laugh
Well,
at
I
it?
would
Or?
be like, it depends on what my hair was looking like. They don't know what I am, depending on what color or what my hair
Is this where we're at? I mean,
listen, they need to just leave it alone. They just need to stop. And here's the thing. Part of the problem is that politics has become more entertainment than political education to the public.
Trump did that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's way more entertainment. I don't know if I'm watching an episode of Love and Hip Hop, Jerry Springer. I've been saying for some years, sometimes the Dems and Republicans act like the Crips and the Bloods. It's kind of crazy out
right.
here. And we've gotten away from that Camelot, that grace, about, what our political leaders act like. And that was the one thing that I really did like about the Obamas. Obama brought a certain class back to that office. The Clintons had it. There's a certain grace that Bill, there was a class that came to that. I'm one of those people, if I see the young kids walking down the street sagging their pants, I'm like, pull your pants up. Comb your hair. What's this homeless
It's about respect.
dreads?
Yeah.
All this facial, get a haircut. But I'm older. But they're, take it
You'll be
out.
right. It's about respect.
Wear deodorant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Put some lotion on.
Yeah. I need to learn how to do that.
But you know what I mean? There's a presentation.
Put on deodorant, take your hat off.
But
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. You're right. It's about respect. It's about parenting. I think the parents are a big part of that. Chris, put on some deodorant. I agree.
Yeah. But Patsy, speaking of culture wars, right? There's a very high-profile gubernatorial race going on right to our left and in Arizona, obviously. And Carrie Lake is someone who, being a former television personality, has been kind of a firebrand for the Republican Party. Okay. And that's a race between two women vying to be governor of Arizona. Talk about what it's like as far as from a female perspective when it comes to being in a race like that. It's just harder, right, for women when it comes to politics to garner the respect that they deserve. And I'm not saying necessarily that because I'm absolutely opposed to pretty much everything that Carrie Lake represents, but I just want to get your perspective when it comes to women in politics and what they have to deal with on a daily basis.
I mean, to me, I think it's really sad being a woman in politics. Prior to politics, being a woman in business, we've already been discriminated against. It is so hard. There is a corporate ceiling, all of the things, which is one of the reasons I was self-employed.
Right.
And had that, ability to be self-employed. Because had I worked for a Fortune 500, there'd have been a ceiling. I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And in politics, you would think that we're women, we have some understanding or respect. There is none. There's no respect. And these ladies, they're taking each other out. Yeah. There's no honor among thieves. Yeah. There just isn't. And the ladies are not acting like ladies.
I will say this though, I hate to give credit to Sarah Palin because I think she's a nitwit. But I will say this though.
Tell us how you really feel, Brian.
To her credit though, I'm going to give her credit here. Her opponent, they seem to get along very well. I don't know if you've seen the clips. They actually are friends, Democrat, Republican. They say nothing but nice things about each other. Now, yes, they disagree on certain topics, but I got to say that was a breath of fresh air. To see Sarah Palin, who is very partisan, but in this aspect, I give her credit. They're working together. And I like that as well. And we don't have that was a breath of fresh air to see them appear on a network together and say, listen, we're friends. We work together. We don't agree on everything, but we respect one another. And I think the opposite of that is what brings people and divides people when it comes to politics. It's the reason why people don't show up at the ballot box. And I just thought that was very refreshing and shocking, quite frankly. And I wish more Republicans and Democrats could do that sort of thing. We are so divided right now.
But listen, and maybe that's that breath of fresh air. Maybe that's the spark that we need, for the change. Because really, that's what we need.
Well, she could see Alaska, though, from her home. I'm sorry, I'm being divisive. I'm being divisive.
And we need some fresh blood in politics, right? We need younger
we
people.
do.
And younger people, I'm talking about people, all right, look, we're all in the same age group here.
Well,
Relatively.
hey,
Brian's Brian's younger than us.
Hey.
But the point being
Relax,
is,
relax.
The Joe Bidens need to go by the wayside, okay? The Donald Trumps need to go by the way. You got to get the 70-plus-year-old people out of there. And the Nancy
Joe is
Pelosi,
old. He's
Nancy
very old.
Pelosi's.
Yes.
Get them out. And we got to get some younger people in there that have solid ideals and that actually care about the positions that they're running for. Right?
Well, and the funny thing is, and you have to understand, government, and I've been a federal contractor for the past 15 years, so I've been working in the government before I was, elected or whatnot. They still, are antiquated. So technology is not infiltrated, these political offices yet. You get younger people in, what's the first thing we're doing? We're updating, we're online, and you're like, oh my God, why are you still doing spreadsheets? What's wrong with you? Which was taking you, a month to do. We could do it in one day by this process, this app. Let's do this, So we're cutting down on payroll. We're saving the taxpayers money. All of the things. We're servicing the people faster. So when clients aren't getting, phone calls back or service, it takes them 60 days. Now we're answering them in 2 hours. Everybody's happy.
Let's since we only have a few more minutes left to go, let's role play here for a moment. Pretend Chris Wynn is a staunch liberal. Well, no, he is. And he's like, I don't think I want to vote for Patsy Brown. I think I want to vote along partisan lines. Explain to Chris why he should vote for you. People have one more day to vote for you or against you.
Okay.
Explain to Chris, the bleeding liberal, why he should vote for Patsy Brown, the Republican.
You should vote for Patsy Brown, not the Republican, the person, because she's going to make sure that you are taken care of should you or your family members need the services of the public administrator's office. And not only if you need the services in the offices, but I'm going to meet you somewhere out in the community from one of my outreach programs and educate you and family members.
That is a solid endorsement right there. I have
Truly.
to say, Patsy, Brian, Numchuck, and Dre, it's already been in. The vote is already in.
Oh, you're a terrible role
There
player.
was one Republican that I voted for on my ballot, and it was Patsy Brown.
I need to teach you how to role play.
It was already done.
I'm a bad role player, too.
You're supposed to argue
I
with
was
her.
role playing. I'm playing the role of the bleeding heart lefty that I am and laying it out there exactly.
Wow.
I was being honest, too,
Look at
about
that.
my ballot.
Well, I didn't lean to the left on plenty of social issues, even though I'm an independent. Chris is definitely a liberal, but you got 2 people who voted for you in this room. No, 3 people.
that.
I'm going to assume that Andre, your husband, your awesome husband, has voted for you as well.
And truly, we most important office is the last office you will see as a Nevadan, and we have to take care of the people.
Well, not to get into the crazy stuff that's happening with that position, but there's been a lot of turmoil in that spot and a lot of stress with people that have worked in that, around that position. And
I'm coming back after,
yes.
too.
I'd love you to.
Listen, I'm taking the worst office. It will be the best office.
I believe you. I believe you. Change. A lot of
I'm so
change.
excited.
Literally, a lot of
Yes.
change needs to happen with
Yes,
that
I'm
seat.
excited.
Is he still getting paid?
No.
He's not. Okay, so they cut that off recently.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
thank God for that. That's just. Can you imagine? I mean,
that was just an administrative thing, though, right?
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like it
But
was
that's
like a
part
thing that
of-
was
listen,
already in the works, so they couldn't
I'm not
change.
going to say too much, but that was part of the problem. So, like my opponent, who's been there for so long, she gets this exemption to do a position she's not qualified for.
Right,
you don't put
right.
people in positions they're not qualified.
Yeah.
You make qualification for a reason.
Yeah.
And when you're not qualified, things like this happen. It's
No
the
question.
chaos.
Yeah, I mean
It's
that's
crazy.
kind of an embarrassment.
Then you
Listen,
have
I understand you're innocent until proven guilty, but there has to be exceptions. Okay, when you're charged with murder, I think we need to put your paychecks on hold. If you're charged with a felony, here's what I think should happen. Any felony, if you're charged with a felony, we hold your paychecks, especially if you're in jail. And then if you're proven not guilty, then we give you the back pay. I don't have a problem with that. I'll tell you where I disagreed with Democrats on. I'm opening up a can of worms here. Is COVID relief for people that are behind bars? Why? That is an example of where I completely disagree with Democrats.
Well, I don't think necessarily it's they're proponents of people behind the bars. It's kind of like an umbrella thing regarding people that are getting checks. Yeah, that happen to fall
Catherine
under
Cortez
a category
Mastow.
that includes people that
I
are
don't
in jail.
always agree with Democrats and Catherine Cortez Mastow and Dina Titus, Nancy Pelosi, and all the Democrats for the most part. Bernie Sanders had no problem with COVID relief checks for people that are behind bars that need a few dollars for the commissary.
Well, I wouldn't agree
just,
with that.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
Not proper, yeah.
You committed a bad crime, I would assume, most of you. You're behind bars. You don't get to have the COVID relief that the people that are not breaking the law have. I had a serious problem with that.
They didn't need it. The people were getting the checks because life was shut down. You couldn't go to work. And the check was supposed to assist with cable bills, light, water, gas. You don't have cable, light, water, gas. What did you need the check for?
Yeah, exactly. You can make a grilled cheese sandwich on the radiator, right?
Oh my
that's about all you can do. But I mean, I disagree. I don't always agree with Democrats on a lot of things, and this is certainly one of them. Well, Patsy Brown, I appreciate you and your husband being here once again. If you win, gosh, I don't want to jinx you, but if you win, what does the tomorrow night look like for you? What are you going to party? You can just go out with your husband, spend a night at home, and just have a good what? You going to go out and have a good time? You going to go to Dre's? What's going on here?
I am going to get a massage.
Oh,
we're
that's
doing
good.
a couples massage.
Oh, look at that!
And
that sounds fun.
Are you ready?
Is Chris invited?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to do something that I have. Listen.
No third wheel action, my friend. None of that.
That I have not done in months.
Chris wants a different massage, but I'm not going to go into that.
I can't with you. He'd have to go with me to China. That's
Spring Mountain. Right. Yeah, Chris gets a lot of massages, but not the same massage you're talking about.
I didn't have to go that far, do I?
Spring Mountain.
But the thing I haven't done, oh my God, in months, and my husband can attest to this, I'm going to get some sleep.
You deserve it. Well, I'll say
get
this.
Some sleep.
There's the massage music. Thank you, Nunchuck. Well, I will say this. I always say how I feel on this show, as you know. You both are wonderful people. I'm so glad to call you both friends. I wish you the best of luck tomorrow. I am pulling for you probably more than... Well, listen, I want Sisolak to win. I don't want Laxalt to win, but I am pulling for you probably more than anybody else because I know you're a good person and you deserve it. You've worked really hard on your campaign. You've met a lot of people, and I believe you will win. And when you do win, I want you to come back on the show, and I want to congratulate you on the air. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, great. Well, Patsy, thank you so much for being here. Chris, thank you for being here as well. I guess I got to thank you,
Absolutely.
too. Thank all the cheap
Running
shots.
Rebels basketball tonight.
Yes.
Season opener.
All the poor cheap shots. I'm so mean to Chris sometimes, but I love him. He's one of my best friends. So, I don't know if he feels the same way about me.
No, he does. He does.
No, of course not. Of course he doesn't. Anyway, thank you both for being here. I appreciate it. Tomorrow's going to be an exciting day for some, a disappointing day for others.
Oh, my God.
We will cover it all tomorrow on the show. Chris, thanks for being here as well. And we're going to have some very special guests tomorrow. John Ralston, I believe, is going to be joining us tomorrow. So, all right, folks, that'll be it. Leaving you with the massage music. And have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.